my name is Simi. I'm an MBA student. I'm going to talk about the introduction and conclusion in this video.
Friends, my name is Gurvinder Kaur. I am an MBA student. Now I am going to present sources of conflict in this video. Thank you.
Hi, this is Gurpreet Singh. I am student of MBA. Now I am going to talking about types of conflicts in this video. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tintin. Today we'll talk about how we can solve in a conflict. Thank you.
Before going to move on conflict, let's talk about human resources. Human resources is the set of individuals who make up the workforce of an organization, business sector, or economy. It's all depend on better relationship, which creates better environment at every place. Now we are helping you to analyze what the conflict is. Conflict is a normal part of any social and organizational setting. The challenge of conflict lies in how one chooses to deal with it. It could be with anyone, anywhere, or at any place because of power, culture background, pride, ego, different thoughts, or jealousy.
Conflict in a workplace setting can be a normal part of doing business. In some cases, conflict that is managed properly can be beneficial as when it fosters an environment of healthy competitions. Sources of conflict. There are some common sources of conflict: interpersonal relationships. When different personalities come together in a workplace, there is always the possibility they won't mesh. Supervisor versus employee. A supervisor who is seen as overbearing or unfair can rub an employee the wrong way, which makes the working relationship more difficult. Poor communication. Companies or supervisors that don't communicate effectively can create conflict. Harassment. Harassment in the workplace can take many forms, such as sexual or facial harassment, or even the hazing of new employees. Limited resources. Companies that are looking to cut costs may scale back through resources such as office equipment, access to a company vehicle, or the spending limit on expense amount. Culture background. Sometimes culture differences are also a part of source of conflict. In the company or supervisor have different culture background, sometimes they create conflict.
The types of conflict. Conflict, we have learned that conflict is important because it is the challenge or struggle that the protagonist must face in a story. Without conflict, we would have no plot. There can be more than one conflict in the plot of a story. Types of conflict. These are external conflict, internal conflict. External conflict is conflict between a character in an outside force. There are three types of external conflict: man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society. Man versus man. Man versus man conflict occurs when the conflict or struggle happens between characters, protagonist versus antagonist, good guy versus bad guy. For example, Harry Potter versus Voldemort. Man versus nature. Man versus nature conflict occur when a character struggles with a natural force, natural disasters, animals, etc. Usually the character is struggling to survive. Man versus society. In this type of conflict, the character struggles against the society in which he/she lives. Usually a fight against social traditions or rules, fight for freedom, rights, or a cause, battle against racism, struggle against some issues. Internal conflict. An internal conflict is a conflict between a character and his or herself. Man versus self. Man versus self. In man versus self conflict, the struggle takes place within his or her mind. These conflicts usually have to do with the choice between right and wrong, overcoming mixed emotions or feelings. For example, joy struggle to. In conclusion, we learned that there are four main types of conflict: man versus man versus nature, man versus society, man versus self.
Solution of the conflict. There are 5 steps in the solving the conflict. The step 1 is to decide whether you have the misunderstanding or through the agreement. The step 2 is to define the problem. The step 3 is clarify the perception. The step 4 is generate option, and step 5 is the action plan. So in the step 1, we must to decide whether the misunderstanding or the agreement. The misunderstanding is failing to accurately understand the other personal point. On the contrary, the agreement, they failing to agree despite they understand. They want to explain more to change your mind. In the step 2, the problem will define if the problem have solved. It is surprising how the difficult step can be. The Western, the focus in the conflict is what happened, where, when, and why. In the step 3, your perception is your interpretation of the facts surrounding the situation. In the conflict situation, it is very important that you clarify on the party perception of the problem. In the step 4, so when the basic problem have been defined, the facts surrounding have been brought out, and everyone operates with the same perception. We need to be focused. We did the best one in this situation. In the final step, this involves the agreement that offers the win-win benefit to those in the conflict. Sometimes the conflict comes to the conclusion. However, the bad conflict solution can be failed. Thus, all the parties must.
Variety of skills are necessary to handle with conflict on workplace. Always the unresolved conflict result in loss of productivity at the workplace. Perhaps most importantly for the leaders at the workplace, good conflict resolution ability. Equally good employee retention. If at workplace leader don't deal with conflict, will eventually watch their good talent walk out the door in search of healthier and safer work environment. One main thing, never avoid the conflict. Always take first step to solve it. If you find any sort of conflict at your workplace, just try to resolve it as soon as possible.
Created using Powtoon.